The Dead Sea Scrolls have many fragments that, although small, have evidence of a much bigger story. And today we are going to be visiting 4Q318. While it is a small fragment, we know it had many more sections, and this document holds a valuable key to our calendar. And I think everyone should be looking at this. We're going to be navigating the Dead Sea Scrolls today and the location of the moon in the sky clock. If you have a copy of the Dead Sea Scrolls, a new translation by Wise Abeg and Cook, you're welcome to follow along. It begins on page 387. And on the 13th and on the 14th, the crab. On the 15th and the 16th, the lion. On the 17th and 18th, the virgin. On the 19th and 20th, and on the 21st, the scales. On the 22nd and 23rd, the scorpion. On the 24th and 25th, the archer. On the 26th, on the 27th, and on the 28th, the kid. On the 29th and on the 30th, the drawer. All right, so this is actually the location of the moon in the 11th month. So this fragment column 7 begins on the 11th month, and we're about to head into the 12th month right here. On the 1st and on the 2nd, the fishes. On the 3rd and the 4th, the ram. On the 5th and the 6th, and on the 7th, the ox. On the 8th and the 9th, the twins. On the 10th and on the 11th, the crab. On the 12th and on the 13th, and on the 14th, the lion. On the 15th and on the 16th, the virgin. On the 17th and on the 18th, the scales. On the 19th and on the 20th and the 21st, the scorpion. On the 22nd and 23rd, the archer. On the 24th and on the 25th, the kid. On the 26th and on the 27th and on the 28th, the drawer. On the 29th and on the 30th, the fishes. So that just completed the 12th month. Column 8, the translators put an asterisk here with the name of the Babylonian month, but we know this as Abib. On the 1st and on the 2nd, the ram. On the 3rd and the 4th, the ox. On the 5th and the 6th and on the 7th, the twins. On the 8th and on the 9th, the crab. On the 10th and the 11th, the lion. On the 12th and on the 13th and on the 14th, the virgin. On the 15th and the 16th, the scales. On the 17th, on the 18th, the scorpion. On the 19th and on the 20th and the 21st, the archer. On the 22nd and on the 23rd, the kid. On the 24th and the 25th, the drawer. On the 26th and on the 27th and on the 28th, the fishes. On the 29th and on the 30th, the ram. What we just read is here on a chart. The 4Q318 chart is just a fragment of what we just read, was only beginning in the 11th month, right? We read the 11th month, then the 12th month, and then it went to the first month. So we're missing all of this information in the middle. They were able to get some clues here and there, but not enough to even post that in with the scrolls. But the experts put this chart together based on what is in the scrolls. Now, this is the annual outlook. The moon spends 2 to 3 nights in each zodiac. So we can see where we are in the calendar based on where the moon is in the sky. So the first column begins again with the 11th month that we read, and it said that the moon was in the crab, which we know is Cancer. So the fragment actually began here. This chart matches the lunar volvel. So obviously there's truth to this chart in the Dead Sea Scrolls and the device itself. This is why the lunar volvel and the astrolabe can tell us what day we are on in the calendar. So this is known as the months of the moon. And as I have stated before, this is not the same as the months of the sun. They're two completely different cycles. And we learn about the cycles in Enoch and the scrolls. So we are going to take a look at the 8th month, since the recording of this video is being put together on the 8th month of 2025. So for this demonstration again, we're going to be using the date that I'm preparing all of this on, which is November 13th, 2025. So that's the date on the Gregorian calendar right here. So we are actually on the 28th day of the Zadok luminary calendar. We had a new moon on October 21st, and we had a full moon on November 5th. Okay, so let's see what the moon phase will be on November 13th. The moon phase that we can see here is it says it's 23.5 days old in the sky, and they bring it to, it rounded out to the 24th day of the lunar cycle. So you can see right here that the moon is in Virgo. So keep in mind that this app changes over at midnight. So everything that if you're using this app, everything on the date will be moving to the right. So for example, we have tonight we have the 13th, and then tomorrow the moon will be also in Virgo. So we go here on the 13th and we see what is the moon going to be at midnight tonight. We go over a day. Oh, it's still going to be in Virgo. Same thing here. We know that the new moon is on the 20th, but we're going to look at what it is at midnight. So we're going to scoot over a night. So let's take a look. On the 20th, the moon is going from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So in essence, the new moon is in Sagittarius at midnight, in the middle of the night. It's in Sagittarius for November 21st. Okay, let's take a look at this next slide here. So if you don't own a lunar volvel, there is one on a website called astrolabeproject.com. And I have posted a couple of other astrolabe options if you don't have one physically. So here I lined up the sun at our midnight hour. So yes, it's matching the Gregorian date of November 13th. So here's November and here's the 13th day. I just pointed it all straight down here at midnight. Okay, and then we do a few things here. So this volvel, if you have one, the volvel works off of when the last new moon was. So there is a counter, and it goes from 1 all the way over to 29. So you need to know to use this when the last new moon was. So remember, the app that I just showed you counted for us, and it told us that it was 23.5 or 24 days since the last new moon. So here you see my marker. Here's 23.5. So that means we're in the 24th day of the moon's monthly cycle. So I put the moon here within this time frame. If you can take a look here, the zodiacs are Cancer, then it goes Leo, and we are just within the borders of Virgo. So the moon is showing that November 13th, the moon is in Virgo, the sun is in Scorpio. Okay, so according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, it told us that the moon for the 8th month is going to be in Virgo for 2 nights. So let's take a look. So here we are in the 8th month, and we're looking for Virgo. So here is Virgo for the 8th month. And remember, it said we're on the 24th day of the cycle. Well, look, it matches. So we are on the 24th and the 25th. So for 2 nights, the moon is actually going to be in Virgo. And then we have from the 26th to the 28th day of the lunar cycle, the moon is going to be in Libra. That means it's going to be in Virgo for 2 nights. Libra for 3 nights. And then it's going to be in Scorpio for 2 nights. All right, so let's count how many days until the next new moon, not counting tonight. So remember, tonight it's in Virgo. Tomorrow night it will be in Virgo for its second night of the cycle. So we have 1, then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the next new moon will be in 7 days. That gives us 7 days until the next new moon. Let's take a look at our calendar. Here we are on November 13th, and we know that the moon tonight is in Virgo. So we are going to count. We have 1 more day in Virgo, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are 7 days until the next new moon. So remember what the chart said the new moon would be for the 9th month? Let's take a look. We're going to go to the 9th month. The new moon is going to be in Sagittarius. Let's take a look here. Here we have the 20th of November, the new moon. And let's see what it's going into. It's going in from Scorpio in the middle of the night. It's going into Sagittarius. So we have confirmation on several platforms that indeed our new moon for the 9th month will be in Sagittarius. We know we're in the 9th month. The 9th month is represented by the zodiac or Mazzaroth of Sagittarius. So indeed, we know that by November 21st, at least by this day, we are already in our 9th month. So this is confirmation of our calendar. Let's take a look at our 9th month. So once again, the moon proves that we're in the 9th month because by November 20th, when the new moon comes, it's in Sagittarius. Take a look. The 9th month is represented by Sagittarius. So we know that November 20th, we are already in our 9th month. So we can regulate, I guess. We can put into markers. We have our bookends that tell us when our months are based on where the month is. Where the moon is. So there are some folks who intercalated and their 9th month does not include this new moon. So their 9th month actually begins on November 23rd because they intercalated. So they're not including this new moon of Sagittarius that should, in fact, be part of the 9th month. So the new moon that matches the zodiac must match the month you're in. So they are a week off because they're not including this new moon. So that's how I'm trying to show you this in different forms, different ways to explain it for those who are new to this. And again, I'm new to this, but it just matches so well. And it matches the scrolls, matches the skies. So the 9th month should include new moon of Sagittarius because that's the moon for the appointed 9th month. The next new moon will be on December 19th, and it's going into Capricorn. So Capricorn is the zodiac for the 10th month. So by the time we get to December 19th, we should be in our 10th month. We need to include the associated moons for the given months. Otherwise, we've shifted out of the calendar. You cannot have a Scorpio new moon in a Sagittarius month. It must correspond Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Scorpio. The moon and the sun are witnesses to each other. If you followed my channel before, you know that in my first Zadok Part 1 calendar video, I showed you the years that the equinox shifted into the next week, and that was an indication that our calendar leaps. When it goes on to a Sunday, we always go to the Wednesday closest to that Sunday. So this was my chart backing up from 2013 all the way to 2040. And when this new information came to me about the moons, I checked all of these dates. And someone asked me, hey, did you verify? Yes, I did. And it actually follows the same exact pattern. So I encourage you to take a look, get an astrolabe, get a lunar volvel, go outside, take a look at the luminaries, and prove this calendar to those who are trying and seeking out the calendar. It all matches, and that's what I'm trying to show you here. So that's all I have for today. Let's take back the correct calendar. Let's continue to fight for the truth. All right? Be blessed, everyone.